And the Oscar goes to Cillian Murphy.
Matt Walsh was absolutely robbed, and I will defend him with this video because it's actually pretty insane. The idea that he can produce something so culturally relevant, so popular, the #1 documentary. I'll show you all the evidence. This isn't just a meme video. And then be completely snubbed by the award shows. Now, many people think, well, who cares? It's Hollywood. I agree. Who cares? It's Hollywood. That said, I do think what's great about this is it completely reveals the bias in Hollywood against conservative media. And the fact that he was not even considered for an award when he had the #1 documentary in the country by a country mile proves the corruption of the award ceremonies, these award companies, and it is absolutely bonkers. So let's get into it. Today's the last day. You're gonna get a nice break of Coffee Brand coffee ads, folks. We have like 12 days of coffee, 12 days of Christmas boxes left. You can see 14 reviews, 4.9 out of 5. I told you it was a good product. It's a great product. We also have custom built gift boxes. I just checked with my operations team. They're completely caught up. So if you order with 2-day shipping, you can still get your item. And I will put the promo code in the description below to save a little bit of money. You can get the pre-built one, and you could do a custom one. And by the way, if you're the gift person you need to get, they don't like coffee, well, you can build it with our real cacao cocos. We have 3 varieties. You can build it with our organic tea. You can build it with our delicious chocolate-covered espresso beans and toffee and treats and things like that. So you can build it how you want it. Get your order in today and make sure you select 2-day shipping. Promo code in the description to save a little bit of money too. Am I racist? Star Matt Walsh and directors Justin Folk on getting exhibitors to take a chance on controversial doc and whether or not they're trolling Hollywood. I mean, I don't think that they're trolling Hollywood. I think that Matt Walsh genuinely wanted to make a good movie. You know, part of that can be, trolling, but I genuinely believe he wanted to make a good movie, and that's what he did. And just to give you an idea how this movie did, here's the box office reports for documentaries in 2024. You can see #1, Am I Racist? In less time, okay, this was one of the newer ones that came out. The other one, Piece by Piece, came out October 11th. This came out September 13th. And it grossed $12.3 million by selling 1.1 million tickets. That is 10 times the tickets of most other documentaries in the top 10. Like the number 10 grossing documentary is William Shatner, sold 40,000 tickets. Am I Racist sold 1.1 million. Vindicating Trump sold 127,000. It still sold 10 times the number of the number 6 documentary. It wasn't even close. You can see Box Office Mojo, it made nearly $5 million in its opening weekend alone. And the movie continued to generate well over $12 million. Plus, I'm sure it will make money, for the platform when people pay for it. Now you see this. The Academy Awards announced the shortlist for documentaries. These are the top 15 films in the genre that will be whittled down to 5 nominees. Am I Racist did not even make the top 15, even though it is the highest grossing documentary of the decade and easily the most talked about, most watched, and most influential documentary this year. This is the outcome I expected, of course, but it doesn't make it any less of a farce. Now, I agree. He worked hard on this. If Hollywood actually wanted to give awards to the, to the movies that deserved it, well, I would say probably you should have at least considered it. You should have at least considered it. It's wild to me that they thought, hey, we're not even going to put it in the top 15. They're literally openly saying, hey, I'm going to, we're not going to even consider it because you're conservative. What does that say to, conservative content creators, conservative directors, is that they're not even going to consider. Would they give it to Sacha Baron Cohen for his movies? Because this is kind of what Matt Walsh did, right? Of course they would. If a conservative can make a documentary that crushes every other film in its genre that year and beats every film in the genre for the past 6 or 7 years and still can't crack the top 15, that means that conservatives are simply excluded from having their work recognized. Again, this is not a surprise, but that's what it means. I wonder if they could sue over it. I'm just saying, I know that people might be like, that's sour grapes, but it might be interesting to see that kind of get into Discovery. He also wrote, one of the things I've learned after getting into filmmaking is that the left truly believes it owns the art of filmmaking. Any conservative who makes a film is an intruder, a sinister usurper showing up in a place where he does not belong. The truth is that the success of my films, and that they are both easily the most watched and influential documentaries of the decade, which is probably true. What is a Woman and Am I Racist? Actually makes it less likely that they'll be recognized by critics or awards. Our successes is an affront to them. They hate us for it. I would say, if I may offer an alternative take, I think that in the culture war at large, this is the best outcome for the conservative movement. They had a chance here to gain tremendous amounts of credibility, and they didn't do it. You essentially serve them on a silver platter, a chance to prove to us that they are not, in fact, as biased as we think they are. They had a chance to shut us up and make us eat our own words. Instead, they just proved everything we thought and said about them for the past 10 years or more. They demonstrated without any doubt that they are a farce not to be taken seriously anymore. Now, I would argue, look at even Deadline's covering this, which is interesting. The fact that Deadline actually covered this is pretty wild to me. So you have this conservative documentary, Am I Racist?, snubbed by Oscar doc voters despite claiming box office crown. This is great that this is out there because it's just more examples of their hypocrisy on full display. Am I Racist?, that controversial documentary that satirizes DEI, failed to make the Oscar shortlist of nonfiction features today, despite earning more money at the box office than any other documentary this year by far. It probably made more money than the other 15 that were not nominated. The film, directed by Justin Folk, features conservative author and podcaster Matt Walsh going undercover to infiltrate DEI seminars, dinners, and the like. It scooped up more than $12 million at the box office, but it wasn't enough to sway the minds of Academy documentary branch members, who determined the shortlist as well as the eventual 5 nominees. It may have come as cold comfort to the Am I Racist team, but films with an overt take on American politics were all spurned by the doc branch. Those include Zawarski versus Texas, the abortion access documentary executive, so another conservative documentary, produced. Oh, it wasn't. Sorry, it wasn't conservative. The abortion process documentary executive produced by Hillary Clinton, and Carville, Winning is Everything, Stupid, a film about Democratic political strategist James Carville, and the Michael Douglas executive produced and narrated film America's Burning, a hot take on political polarization and dysfunction. 2 films that document the rise of the Christian nationalist movement qualified for Oscar consideration, but failed to also make the shortlist. God and Country, directed by Dan Partland, and Bad Faith, Christian Nationalism's Unholy War on Democracy, directed by Stephen Ujlaki and Christopher Jacob Jones. Gonzo for Democracy also was snubbed. Am I Racist? Is distributed by Daily Wire Plus, part of the conservative media company founded by Ben Shapiro and Jeremy Boring. The documentary participated in Deadline's Contender series during its lead up to Oscar shortlist voting, with Folk and Walsh appearing on behalf of the film. During the panel discussion, they acknowledged that racism has existed historically in the United States, but suggested left-wing supporters of DEI are out of step with the majority of the American public on the question of whether structural racism continues to be a reality in the United States. Quote, "We are a country that had slavery at one point," Walsh said during a panel. Now, although slavery existed as an institution across the world for thousands of years, it still exists, by the way, to this day, it's certainly in this country, it certainly wasn't a racist institution. It was one, sorry. Nobody denies that. But in modern America, as it stands today, there are no laws or policies on the books that have the intention of disadvantaging black people, people that we call, quote unquote, people of color. That simply doesn't exist today. And I think you have to allow society to progress. Films that focus on political questions beyond the U.S. borders did get love from Doc Branch voters among the films of a bunch of other crap that I've never seen and probably isn't good. You know, I would imagine if these losers voted for it, it probably wasn't good. You know, I think that, you know, ultimately Matt knew they were never going to get an award, but he was still robbed. You know, people being mad about raw milk. You know, did you do it for Academy Award or did you do it because it matters? Again, I think that's a bad take. I think that you can do it for both. He obviously didn't do it for the Academy Award, but he should have been recognized. I mean, if it flopped, maybe you could make the argument that, like, hey, this probably isn't, you know, worthy of an award, but it was the number one. And like, you could even make an argument. You can even make an argument that maybe you didn't give it the award, but to not include it in the top 15 is insane. Insane. Sorry. It says, well, did Matt and Jeremy spend a single dollar on FYC for your consideration type campaigns? Mr. Harvey dropped millions on bathroom remodels to get Michael Moore's movies votes. Isn't one of your writers repped by Gersh? Did you strategize with them? Was it marketed to, quote, at all to the biz? So essentially they're saying, you know, you have to buy your awards. I've never even heard of any of these other documentaries. The list of documentaries is so obscure, nobody has seen, let alone heard of any of these films. Huge snub. Well, congrats to Matt Walsh on all his success. I hope he makes another film, you know, in the next couple of years, because I think he's an important voice in the community, even if I think he has the most garbage takes ever imaginable on pop culture. He's pretty based on almost everything else. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please do leave a like on it. If you haven't yet, subscribe or follow down below, and we'll talk to you again real soon.